Welcome to the 10-Minute Treasure. My name's Jeff Pospisil. And one of the things that I love doing is creating a new spreadsheet. And so that's what I did. I work for the Global Methodist denomination, and they have a way of supporting the denomination that's called Connectional Funding. And you need a spreadsheet to help calculate it. You probably don't really need a spreadsheet, but I like every problem could use a spreadsheet. So that's what I did. And let me go ahead and show you it. All right, so here's my connectional funding calculator. I just have this as an Excel spreadsheet that is embedded in a website. And actually, oddly enough, I never throw away barely any files. So I have an old website that I used to share my church financial reports on. And so I embedded it there. It'll end up being embedded on my embedded. It seems like way too many D's in that embedded in my blog. And so I'll put a link to that. And then it'll likely be embedded on the Global Methodist website as well. So, what is connectional funding? So, connectional funding, we are asking every church to contribute a percentage of last year's operating income towards the connection or towards the work of the denomination. And that's going to be split into two ways. First of all, there's the general church, which is the worldwide denomination. And 1% of last year's operating income goes towards the general church. And that's pretty locked in for now. Then we're asking for you to also support the work of the denomination in your region or the conference. And that percentage, you can see it's yellow here. All these ones that are yellow are the ones that you should feel free to adjust as need be. Some conferences have it at 1%. Some of them have it at 2% or 3%. So you can adjust this for whatever your conference says. And you might say, well, where do I find my conference website? I do have a link here at the bottom because a lot of times that'll have the best place to know what the percentage is, as well as how to actually make that payment. So you can click on whichever one it is. So if I want to do a Florida Provisional Annual Conference, you'll find a lot more information that you need for your church if you happen to be in that conference. Speaking of payments as well, since I'm here anyway, the general church, so that's the worldwide part. Currently, we're asking churches to send checks to Fredericksburg, Virginia, but there will be a link, and maybe even before I get this video out, there'll be a link for churches to be able to make their payments electronically and save a stamp. So that's coming up. I know I just looked at it just the other day to verify that it looked correct. Okay, so connectional funding. The first thing is last year's operating income. I've already had churches say, okay, does it have to be a calendar year? And I think that's the way it was meant to be designed. Or can we look at the last 12 months? And I'm saying either one's fine in my book. If you want to look at it, so I'm filming this in September. So if you want to look at it, September of 2022 through August of 2023 and say that's the last 12 months, I'm good with that. If you want to wait until the end of the calendar year and you're just making an estimate for budgeting purposes, I'm good with that too. Those are both correct in my mind. And even when you go to calculating last year, the operating income, I'm really not a big stickler on this. I know for most of our churches, it's just going to be coming into the offering plate. All that stuff that's just going towards the budget, it's unrestricted, they're just regular gifts. Those are what you're counting. So I'm just going to plug in some numbers. So let's just say, for example, that 60,000. I should make it an odd number. Nobody's going to get exactly 60,000, especially for accountants. We should be exact. So there's going to be some interest. Honestly, it's probably not going to be enough for people to care. I should stop saying honestly. It makes me sound like I'm probably hiding something. Sale of church assets is rare. Building use funds. By the way, there's all this, not all this, but there is some guidance right here to help you discern what does and doesn't count. So it's the most common ones. The other one that's kind of common, especially for many, well, I don't know, many of the churches that I worked with, they might have a fundraiser like a turkey dinner or all like a community yard sale or something like that, where all the net proceeds go to the church and that goes to funding the budget. If it goes to a different thing like towards the youth or towards a mission or something like that, you wouldn't include it. But let's just say you do a fundraiser and it goes towards the expenses of the church, the operating expenses. And I'm going to put in don't know how random that is. It seems like I'm using a lot of sixes and fives. But let's just say that's all you had. You didn't have any interest, you didn't have any sales, you didn't have any building use or rental fees. And so last year or for the last 12 months, that was your income. All right. Then it'll calculate it out for you. So it'll show you this is your annual amount towards the general church. So $706. If you want to pay it monthly, it's $58.89. And then for your conference, so let's say your conference is a 3% conference. So you'd have a total of 4% of your income for the connection. So, and this is just 3% then of your operating income. And then that's your monthly amount. All right, that brings us to the end. And hopefully that helped. I mean, hopefully it helped you understand connectional funding in the Global Methodist denomination. It was a good excuse for a spreadsheet, although the formula is almost simple enough where you don't need a spreadsheet, almost. Anyway, we're getting there. One of the things that you might have picked up is that we are really trying to build trust here because the church has all the information they need to calculate their responsibility. The denomination doesn't. The denomination's not going to send you a bill. It's not like the IRS where the information goes into some magical formula and you get a number of how much you owe and you feel like you're going to get the smack put down on you if you don't pay the right amount. So that's not the way it is. We want a high degree of trust as we're going together because we know we have a world that needs the good news of Jesus Christ. And we need to be trusting each other instead of being distracted by each other. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I had a couple extra minutes with this video, so I'll also do a plug for the channel. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe, share. If you have ideas for future videos, put them in the comments. I always love to hear from people, and I appreciate you, and God bless.